Okay, guys, let's finish up this, and then it will not take even 10 minutes. So, first one, the reporting system. So, who did not report or assert their ownership, and the Japanese colonialism deprived them of their land. So, I already explained this. So, there was a land survey, and then the Japanese government actually searched, or they create them into system, and they established ownership kind of things. And then when they talk about like land ownership, when article talk about land ownership, he described as a good thing, but actually many Koreans were deprived their land because they don't know, Japanese or kind of things, so they did not report, and then they just, their land was completely gone. And Japanese primary education, the Japanese primary education was quite limited. That's why Hegad argued, right? They restricted Korean language use and dismantled the indigenous Korean education system. But he's saying that they argue that, the Hegad et al. Argue that they provide primary education for sure, but it's for subjecting Koreans, right? They want you to make Korean as a second class citizen. That's how the Japanese primary education worked. So if you look at like primary enrollment rate for boys, did jump actually 20% in 1912 to 60% in 1940. So it's for sure the primary education ratio has been increased. And but if you look at overall, the 40% of Koreans have received any schooling. So that's actually maybe good thing, right? Because illiteracy rate was pretty high. But you should also look at like it's talking about only boys, but if you look at the girls, it's more severe. It's much less. 40% of Koreans only received any schooling. So this actually, the Hegard arrow saying that the Japanese education, the provision of education was limited. So they did not completely saying like the Japanese did not provide any education, but they're saying there has limitations. And only 2% of Koreans had advanced beyond the primary level. So 2%, only 2% Koreans could go to high school or the university. So like you probably know like very we have many international students, so international students may not know him, but Yoon Dong-ju, he was a very famous poet in Korea, and he wasn't activist, but he wanted to be an activist, but he wrote a poem, and then he died because there was a human guinea pig human experiment in Japan. And he was actually the university student, the college student in Japan. So that means he's actually a top even 2% because he went to abroad to study. So that's actually very rare for Koreans. And he wrote he was very scared for to be an activist, but his relative, he was very brave, and they went to the Japan together to study, and they both were killed during the Japanese experiment, the human experiment. How do I know? How do we know? It's because he wrote a lot of letters to their parents, and then he knows like he described what happened. Like they inject the things, and then after he was injected, something happened, and like many people were killed, that kind of thing. So like I got really mad because he was top, even he was really good poem. He wrote a really good poem, and then he became like that. And then his poem later published by the Japanese woman. Like there was, we are not sure if this is true or not, but there was a Japanese woman who fell in love with Yoon Dong-ju, Yoon, and then she had that poem, and later on he published. So like 2% of Koreans, only 2% of Koreans could have this primary level. And then I want you to emphasize that Koreans were always eager to learn something, like eager for educations. It's not only for Koreans, but it's Asian thing. So when you think of like Asians, like you have images of smartness, and where does smart come from? And then it's because of the eagerness to greedy, greedy for educations. And then the article is saying like this increase social equality, right? But he's saying like this is actually increasing inequality, social inequality, because not all of Koreans could get educations. And this is actually social inequality. The Japanese colonialism exacerbated inequality, social conflict, no long run economic growth. So we will definitely maybe discuss in class later on, but which one do you prefer? I mean, which one do you think that it's more persuasive? And how, if you, I mean, you can support still like colonialism help for Korean modernization or Korean development state, that you should explain how should we explain the gap, discontinuity from the Japanese end of colonialism and the starting of development states. So we should explain that. But Haggard actually emphasized discontinuity, right? And then this, because of discontinuity, it's impossible for the Japanese colonialism to contribute to economic growth. That's the most significant argument by the Haggard et al.'s article. So that's the I'm not sure which one you prefer or which one you feel more persuasive, but I go definitely with the second one. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you later. Bye.